in light of what we've gone over last week about acid-base titration, I wanted to give some tips about how to figure out when to neutralize something or when a pair of substances does not neutralize. When you have an acid and a base, and they are not related to each other, when I mean they're not related to each other, they're not conjugates. So they're not conjugate acid-base pairs. Then they will neutralize each other. So when I mean they're not related, so if we had HCl and sodium hydroxide, they are not related to each other, so they would neutralize each other. Or if we had HCl and ammonia, NH3, they are not related to each other, and they would neutralize each other. If we had HF and we had NaF, then the NaF would dissociate into Na plus and F minus. And since HF and F minus are conjugate acid base pairs, these would actually be a buffer. So if you have conjugate acid base pairs, they would be a buffer. They would not neutralize each other. Now, the other thing is, well, what if we had another setup where we had an acid, except we had something else? So if we had an acid like HF, and we had another thing like, say, HCl, we have an acid, and then we have an acid. They would also not neutralize each other because they're both acids. And so in order to figure out their pH, since in this case, or this example, this is a strong acid, and this is a weak acid, we would take all the H plus concentration here from the strong acid, and it would fully ionize or fully dissociate because it's strong. And so we would take whatever the concentration HCl was, that would equal the same concentration as the H plus. So 100% of this would fully dissociate, and then that would be the same concentration. Then for the weak acid, in order to figure out the pH of this whole solution here, we would have to use an ice table and determine what X is, like in your ice table, using the Ka value, and then figure out the H plus concentration of the HF. And then we would add both the H plus concentration that we determined from the weak acid using the ice table and its concentration, and then add that to the H plus concentration from the HCl, and then that would get us the total H plus hydrogen ion concentration, and then we can negative log that to get the pH of the overall solution. And then that's also similar to another scenario where we have two bases. So we have NH3, for example, and we'd have sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is a strong base, so it would also fully dissociate. And then whatever concentration of the hydroxide would be, in this case, it would be a 1-to-1 mole ratio. So this would fully dissociate. So 100% of this would become the hydroxide ion. Now for over here for the NH3, this is a weak base. So we would need to use an ice table and then use a Kb and solve for X. And by solving for X, that would give us the hydroxide ion concentration for just the NH3 for the weak acid and for the weak base. And this would be definitely less than the one for the sodium hydroxide. Then we add both of those together, and then we get the overall concentration of hydroxide, negative log that to get the POH, and then subtract from 14 to get the pH, and then we can get that. Now, same situation, if we had a weak base and a weak base, then we'd have to use two ice tables, and then solve for X independently for each of them using the ice tables, and then add the total concentration of hydroxide there. So let's recap what the scenarios are. So the four scenarios. So if we have an acid and a base, they're not related, then we're going to neutralize them using stoichiometry. And then, so we would need to use moles, and then we would just follow the mole ratios, and then et cetera, et cetera. If we have a conjugate acid-base pair, then we would have a buffer. They would not neutralize each other, and we would have to use an ice table to calculate the pH, or we would use the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation to calculate the pH. And then if we have an acid and acid, then we would calculate the hydrogen ion concentrations of each of those independently and then add that up. And then from there, then we can get the pH by negative logging the total hydrogen ion concentration. And then conversely, with the base and a base, we can calculate the hydroxide ion concentration of those independently, sum them up, and then we can get the POH by negative logging the concentration of hydroxide, and then eventually then calculate the pH by taking 14 minus the POH equals pH. And so these are what you see here with acid-base titration, like I had gone over previously. I have an example of a buffer problem that maybe we saw last week, and I wanted to make sure that we got through this. So over here we have 1 liter of a buffer containing 0.4 molar acetic acid and 0.4 molar the acetate ion, which is its conjugate base. If we take a look here, we can actually figure out the pH of this. Since it's a buffer, we can use the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. So pH equals pKa plus the log of the concentration of the base over the concentration of the acid. If we plug and chug, we take P, which is negative log, and then the Ka of acetic acid is 1.8 times 10 to the negative fifth, and then plus the log of the concentration of the base, which is this 0.4 molar of the conjugate base, divided by the log of the acid, which is also this 0.4 molar. Now, if you take a look here, this is the log of 1, which is 0. So pH equals pKa. So this is actually, if we were having a titration, this would be the half equivalence point, because at the half equivalence point between a weak acid and a strong base, the pH would equal the pKa at the half equivalence point. So that means that that's half the volume to get to the equivalence point where all of the weak acid would get neutralized. And then at that point, half of the weak acid would get used up, half of the conjugate base would get made, and we would get pH equals pKa. All right, so that's how you would figure that out. Now, the other question that we saw last week was, what if we had a buffer, and what if we added something like an acid or base to it? Let's go ahead and say we're going to add a base to it. Now, if we add sodium hydroxide to it, we have a buffer, and this is the weak acid, and this is the conjugate base. So which of these two species, or which of these two parts of the buffer would neutralize the sodium hydroxide? Well, if you guess the weak acid, then that's correct, because remember, acids and bases, they neutralize each other as long as they're not related to each other. Remember, not related meaning they're not conjugate acid-base pairs. So what we're going to do is we're going to write out the equation using stoichiometry, using CH3COH plus, and then we have the hydroxide, we have the sodium hydroxide here, and then yields. And then remember, it's only going to be a single arrow because it's neutralization, so it's not a double arrow where it's equilibrium. And so we'd end up with CH3COO minus plus, and then we end up with water here. So since we're using stoichiometry here, we're going to write out what we have here. So I made it nice and easy, 1 liter, and we're going to take the 0.40 molar times 1 liter is 0.40 moles of acetic acid. We have 0.20 moles of hydroxide. And from here, then the hydroxide is the limiting reactant. So we would use up, since it's a 1-to-1 mole ratio, 0.20 moles of this, 0.20 moles of this. And then we would actually make, which a lot of you forgot last week when we were doing the homework, is we're making also 0.20 moles of this. So we end up with now 0.20 moles of acetic acid after the neutralization, no hydroxide in this scenario. And then we also make plus 0.20 moles of acetate ion. Now, what we have to also account for is now this acetate also from the buffer was hanging around in the solution. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 0.4 moles of this, since we multiplied 0.40 molar times 1 liter, and we're going to also add that to the amount that was produced from the neutralization reaction. So we'd end up with 0.60 molar, or 0.60 moles. And then since all these are divided by 1 liter, this is 0.2 molar, 0.6 molar. And then what we can do is we can actually go back to the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation and plug and chug. So now in this case, then we end up with 0.20 molar. And then this is also now 0.60 molar in the equation. All right, so let's plug it into the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation now. So we have the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation here, pH equals pKa plus the log of the base over the concentration of the acid. So we negative log 1.8 times 10 to the negative fifth plus the log of the concentration of the base is now 0.60 molar divided by 0.20 molar. Now, if you notice, we could have used the moles because the volume was still the same for both of those. So now this is the log of 3. So let's add that into it. Here, if we do the math, the pH would now equal 5.22, which is totally fine. Now, at the half equivalence point, the pH we had gotten from before was 4.74. So the pH only slightly increased because the buffer resists changing the pH until it runs out. So one of those things would run out. So as long as we kept on adding more base, then eventually all the acetic acid would get neutralized, and then we wouldn't have a buffer anymore. All right, so hopefully these types of problems will help you practice. We'll do some practice with the do nows for this week using some practice problems.